I loved the Dick Van Dyke Show. He was a television writer. And I loved the Dick Van Dyke Show because my mom was a huge fan of the Carol Burnett Show. So I used to watch the Carol Burnett Show with her like literally every Sunday, and it was Lyle Wagner and Harvey Korman and that whole bunch. And then on the Dick Van Dyke Show, they wrote a sketch show. And when I was in high school, I actually ended up performing in a sketch comedy group and kind of became a writer. So literally, Dick Van Dyke, in an odd sort of way, was my writing influence and North Star. There's two things in The Wizard of Oz that really have, like literally to this day, probably the greatest impact of any two lines if you have a career in show business. One is pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, right? So there's this whole idea of what you imagine is happening, and the reasons why, and it's smoke and mirrors. And there's someone inside this machinery that isn't any greater, better, smarter, or more equipped than you. But they have some system in place that allows them to give you their version of reality. And you think that you should abide by it as long as you can't see or know what's really going on. And that is not unlike this fight that we're in. Even just monetarily, creatively, the walls that are up to prevent us from knowing how and why, the donuts are made has everything to do with keeping us making them in the fashion which they see fit. And yeah, we got the internet now. We got all this stuff, and we're peeling back the curtain, and they're trying to pull it back as fast as they can. It's like, hey, man, we saw you. We see what's going on. And the other piece in The Wizard of Oz is that you had the power all along, right? Like you had the power all along, and just even in our writer fight, it is precisely and it is exactly that. No shade to all the companies, but if they all shut down tomorrow, the people who create, the artists, the writers, the actors, the directors, we would have ideas, and we would try to find a way to get them made out and and put out into the world. Sometimes we get in a zone, right, and it's flowing. I've literally written a 120-page script in 8 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. From page 1 to the 100-page, did it in 8 hours straight. I'm not saying that it was good, but I got it out. And then it was the framework. And so that is like this beautiful, kind of love affair that you're having with your mind and, and with the device, and it's flowing and you're getting it out and nothing's interfering and the thoughts are pure and you're laughing and you're talking to yourself and, all of these kind of things. And it's just coming. When that's happening, it really is, that for me is the best and most beautiful part. But I guess all writers agree, the hardest part is staring at the blank page and then interior office day, and then you start. I give the exact same piece of advice to every writer. If you start something, just pick a thing, but finish it. Because oftentimes as writers, there's this process of trying to make this part of it perfect. And I'm not saying that a more experienced writer can't do that, can't build a first act of something without necessarily having all of the thoughts and pieces in place for whatever might happen in the second and third act. But, we have a skill set around being able to, figure out what the problem is and why and what to do to kind of, fix it if you stumble later on, in the show. But for a young writer, getting from page 1 to whatever the last page is. If it's a half-hour thing, write your 30. If it's an hour, write your 60. If it's a feature, give me your 90. Right? Just get it out, because now you got something to fix. Now you got a ball of Play-Doh, right? And you can start poking and shifting and pulling out and I like this, turn around, take a look at it. And that's kind of what this creative process is. But finish something. Get it out. You might not even go back to it. I've had things I've written entire drafts of and I've never looked at again. But the process of writing and getting it from beginning to end and taking myself on that journey allows me to kind of build up the muscles around being able to address, the weaknesses in your writing. Breaking Bad. I don't really snack while I write, but I have gotten a great espresso machine, so now I will make myself a good latte to stall. I would have to go with pizza, because I really like donuts, but pizza actually feels like food. Depends on what I'm writing. I'm working on something right now about a thing set in Philadelphia, so I'm all listening to Philadelphia soul. That's just where my head is. My muscle memory is built in half hour, so I'll say half hour. Most recently, the script that I am absolutely in love with is for A Hustle and Flow. It is literally one of the most beautifully written character studies I think I've ever seen. Just the complexity of the characters and who they are, and just the specificity of the space and the time. I just love that it just has, several levels of conflict. Everything, to my taste, pays off. I didn't feel like any of it was pandering. I just feel like it's as authentic can be. So lately, it's kind of like just really one of the most beautiful pieces I've seen.